Masculinity is supposed to provide safety and stability for a family. But many women are with a man today whose father did not pass that on to him. So he learned to handle everything completely alone and to never count on anyone, including the woman who loves him most. So when he lashes out at you, he's not fighting you. He's fighting with a man who's not even there. And if you're the man who keeps lashing out at the woman you love and you do not know why, keep watching this video. This is the father wound. It's what happens when a father fails to provide the most basic thing he's supposed to provide, safety. And the man who's carrying that wound usually cannot see it in himself. He only feels what comes out of it, the anger, the shutdown, the certainty that he has to handle everything completely alone. I have sat across from a lot of men in sessions carrying this same wound, and they are some of the best men I know, and also some of the loneliest. My name is Adam Lane Smith. I am the attachment specialist. I have 16 years of training and experience helping individuals and couples transform their attachment. And a common problem that I keep seeing blocking that transformation in relationships is the father wound underneath an avoidant man's anger. It's the most misdiagnosed thing in modern marriage counseling. Couples spend years working on communication and conflict, never realizing that the father wound is driving that conflict in the first place. This video today is for the woman whose partner explodes at her and she has no idea why. And this video is also for the man who explodes at the woman he loves more than anything on this planet and doesn't understand why he keeps doing it. Stay with me, both of you. Now, the father wound forms in a very specific way, and it does not always look like what people expect it to look like. There are 4 versions of the failed father that I see again and again in my coaching practice. The first is the avoidant or very narcissistic father. He embodies often personality disorder traits. Usually he's in his own world. He may not even know he's failing, but he squashes the people around him and doesn't really care about their safety. Number 2 is the passive father with a very domineering wife. He thought he was just providing and staying out of the way, but he was too weak to stand between his son and a mother who overpowered them both. And he may have even enforced her will. Number 3 is the overbearing and over-controlling father. The one forcing his son into roles he did not want, demanding to be pleased instead of being a mentor who could be trusted. And finally, the overachieving, incredible, amazing executive father who smothered his son with his success. So present in his achievements, so absent in safety, that the son grew up unable to trust his father for the one thing a son actually needs. So what do sons with these fathers start feeling and end up feeling in life? It's not necessarily rage. It's most often intense, overwhelming resentment and disappointment toward his father. He may even love his father. Many of them tell me, "I love my father," but they may still call him even once a week. They may admire character traits that he has, but the wound lives underneath that surface relationship. The rule running everything is the same. I cannot count on my father. I must carry it all alone. A purely avoidant son carrying that rule strikes out on his own as fast as possible. The reason is mistrust, not usually hatred. That mistrust of his father, once it sets, becomes the operating system for every relationship he ever forms, including the one he's in with you. Now, understanding where that wound comes from is the first step, but it does not explain why that man aims that anger at the woman in his life specifically. To understand that, you have to know what he's trying to push away when he lashes out. The lash out is specifically pushing back on 2 things. The first, he's pushing away the weakness he believes will eventually consume him and destroy the people that he loves. He knows that deep down, eventually he must fail. Eventually he must fall short because he's alone and imperfect. When he does fail, he is the only person in the world he can rely on to come through in the worst of times because no one else ever will for him. Even when he feels at his weakest, which usually means at his most emotionally vulnerable, that's where he will drive her away, almost on purpose. So if he wants to protect the people he loves from his own weakness, he must drive them out before they see him fail and lose heart themselves. So if the first component is his failure, the second thing he pushes away is other people's failure. The betrayal he's sure is coming. The avoidant rule about other people is simple. They will fall short when it matters most. They will fail him when he's most open. They will fail him when he's most vulnerable. They will fail him when he can least afford it. That's what he's pushing away. He's not usually pushing away his wife and the woman he loves as a person. He's pushing away the future moment where he suspects she will fail him at the worst possible time. The moment he's convinced is coming because it always has for everyone else in the past. And that moment makes him think of his father and his mother, when his father should have been able to protect him from that moment, and when he, the son, should have been at peace with that moment and could not feel that peace. If they couldn't provide it for him, no one else can either. Who on the planet will give you safety the way your father would? And if he didn't, who else will? Now, there's often an explosive moment, a rupture, we call it. And under that explosion, there's something hiding. It sounds like this. Why can't I trust any of you? Why isn't anyone stepping up? Why does no one care as much as I do? Why is everyone so incompetent and selfish and pathetic? What sounds like hatred is frustration, sadness, loneliness, and strangled grief that he alone believes he must carry. This burden he must carry for his whole life because no one else will take it on. Only he in his head is stepping up. Only he cares enough. At least that's the story he tells himself, and it is lonely as hell. Now, when he's in these moments, why can't the woman he loved reach him? She's trying with all of her heart. I know you are, because most men were never taught how to receive a wife's concern without becoming dysregulated. It reminds him of his mom. When she approaches him with warmth, even during those moments, his cortisol spikes because it feels like a trap. His cortisol shuts down his oxytocin receptors, blocks them so he can't even get close. His body cannot take in what she's offering, even though she's offering what he needs. Now, if you've been watching this so far and you're recognizing your marriage in everything I'm describing, your husband lashing out, or you not knowing how to reach him, or the same fight on a loop, that recognition itself is the first step. And if you're the man watching this and you've been recognizing yourself, I'm talking to you too. But understanding that father wound does not stop the next explosion from coming. What you need is more information and assistance and resources. The Secure Circle is a community I've been building for the last few years, and it should help. It's my mission to take what's working in attachment, the neuroscience, the behavioral research, and what I'm seeing in my coaching practice every day, and get it out into the world. Because the women we're talking about today do not have time to wait for this work to trickle down to them from academia. Inside that free community, you get monthly masterclasses with me on attachment fundamentals, exclusive content with me and my coaches, live streams, Q&As, and a growing resource library so you can finally find what you need when you need it. The link is in the description below, and it's 100% free to join. And if you want the full curriculum, the Secure Circle Plus community is where the work is getting done. You can find my flagship courses with the Attachment Bootcamp, How to Love an Avoidant Man, How to Build a Secure Marriage, the Secure Parenting Fundamentals, and Decoding Attachment Styles, so you're not buying courses one at a time and stitching them together. On top of the courses, you get weekly masterclasses rotating across 6 areas of life, plus weekly skill demos so you can practice what you're learning, weekly secure masculine and feminine groups, direct access to my team, exercises, challenges, and a library of past community lectures and Q&As to go back to whenever you need. Click the link below to learn more, or check out the free community and then upgrade from there. And if you're watching this right now and you already know your relationship is at the point where you need direct assistance, the coaching application's in the description below as well. My team will reach out and we'll figure out if it makes sense for us to work together. Now, let me show you the 4 lash-out moves that I see most often. Now, in my coaching practice with a lot of avoidant men, the lashing out shows up in 4 predictable patterns. Each one is saying something very specific underneath their actual words. Move number 1 is, I love you more than you love me. Now, he says this with disturbing calm. I care more about you than you care about me, and that's fine. What sounds like cruelty is actually him naming his lifelong belief that he's the only one who really cares and that everyone else will fall short. Usually he's not hating you. He's confirming a story he has carried since childhood. Move number 2, other people are incompetent and smaller, and that's fine. He positions himself as the long-suffering, competent one. I feel bad for all of you. I'll try to do what I can. This is the I alone must carry this burden story externalized. He's pushing you out of partnership and back into the category of people who need to be managed. Move number 3 is maybe we aren't going to work out. Maybe we should just split up right now. I know this sounds like he's leaving. It's usually not him saying that you should actually split up now. It's advancing the idea for discussion because it feels hopeless. The hopeless times are ultimately where he will look like he's lashing out the worst. And that's what other people usually demonize them for, is giving up and bailing out. This usually is him advancing an idea of maybe we should talk about this. And move number 4 is, I don't think we're a good match. Let's end this. The cleaner, colder version. It sounds final, but it usually isn't. What comes out of his mouth in those moments is what he wished he could have said to his parents in childhood. This isn't working. We don't want the same things. I can't do this anymore. The tragedy here is all the missing context. An avoidant man can't bring himself to say, I don't know what you want. He can't bring himself to say, I'm confused and overwhelmed and afraid. He can only say, this isn't working. And he says it alone in his own head with no one to work it out with. That's actually the disconnect point right there. He can't sit down and say, this isn't working. So what can we do together? He says, this isn't working. And this is all I can think of alone, so it's hopeless. Recognizing those 4 moves, that's one thing. That's great. But there's a deeper moment underneath all of them. The moment when an avoidant man finally connects the lash-out back to his father. Here's what that moment looks like. When this hits an avoidant man really hard, and he actually acknowledges it, it hits him like a wave of grief. The realization that another human being, his wife, could actually care the way he cares, but he didn't believe she would because of his father. This is massive. When he understands that his wife could actually take it seriously when there's risk on the line and really actually mean it. When he understands that his wife could discipline her emotions in the moments that matter most, like no one else ever has. When he realizes his wife actually could come through for him. What usually comes out of his mouth in those moments? Why didn't my father do this? Why was my father so damn casual about life? So stuck that he couldn't do this? After that, sometimes he softens. Sometimes for the first time in his adult life. And for the first time, he's been given a moment of safety that his father never gave him. Now, if you're a woman who loves a man like this, and you're trying to figure out what to say, try this message right here, word for word. I care. Even if it doesn't look to you like I care right now, I do. I want us to figure this out. And I'm willing to make changes to make sure it works. But I need us to work together. So help me understand what you need from me right now so we can get this done as a team. Now, why does this sentence work? Well, it names first that you're on the same team. You're not his opponent in the fight. You're his partner trying to solve the fight. It tells him you're willing to make changes and work with him, but calls him to do the same. It also asks him to clarify what he needs, which forces him out of a global hopelessness into a specific request he can answer. The catch, and this is non-negotiable, do not say this while you're crying and sobbing. Do not say it while you're screaming. Do not say it while you're dysregulated. Discipline yourself first. Get calm. Say it calm. Get back to the task at hand. That tells him you are a person apart from others. That tells him you're someone who's willing to set their own emotions aside to solve a problem with him, something he believes he's only capable of doing and no one else is. That's what he's been looking for his entire life. The move that most women make thinking they're helping, though, it makes things worse, is getting emotional and trying to convince him you care because your feelings are huge and overwhelming and that those feelings are proof of care. That's the wrong move. It tells him that you're unstable and untrustworthy. It makes his nightmare come true. This piece is counterintuitive to most women. The emotional intensity for them registers as truth. Look how much I care. To an avoidant man, it registers as instability and untrustworthiness, that you're going to fail and betray him because you have so many emotions. Here's the raw truth about what tells him you actually care. The emotions you show, they're not what he reads as caring. Disciplining your emotions. Focusing on the solution. That's what tells him you care. Anyone on the planet can throw emotions at him. No one in his entire life has ever disciplined their emotions and done what needed to be done when it needed to be done. That's what he's looking for. That's what tells him he's finally being cared for in the way he's been waiting for his entire life. Now, everything I've walked through so far is for the woman who is watching this video. But if you're the avoidant man watching this, and I know some of you are, thank you. I want to talk directly to you for the next 2 minutes. I have one question for you. You don't have to admit anything out loud. That's fine, right? Don't do that. Let your lawyer run rampant. That's fine. Protect yourself. But you don't have to tell your wife you even watched this video. I need you to answer this question. The first move is one you have to make inside your own head. The one question I need you to ask yourself this week is this: what if I'm wrong about her intentions? There's two main stories that avoidant men run underneath every lash out they have. The first is that she is going to be selfish at my expense, and that's fine. She intends to be. Or the second is she doesn't care about me or the situation the way that I care. Either she has negative intentions because she wants to take from me, or she has negative intentions because she's reckless. Those two stories are underneath every lash out. She's either incompetent because she doesn't care, or she's damaging because she's taking. There's no room for genuine misunderstanding, difference of opinion, or just difference of experience. So the assignment this week is this: question those two stories. What if I'm wrong about her intentions in those two key areas? The next step after that, when you're ready, is this: ask her directly. Ask her with curiosity, the way you would ask a friend you actually respected. Help me understand what you were thinking when you did this point. Help me understand how you view this problem. How important is this problem to you right now? Help me understand that. Being able to check in with her about her intentions instead of projecting her intentions is massive. You do not have to carry this alone. But the only way you'll ever know if that's even true is if you start asking instead of assuming. Now, to the women out there, what's happening between you and your avoidant partner has nothing to do with you being too much, loving him wrong, or saying the wrong things. Not really. He's carrying a wound from his father that he cannot name, cannot access, and cannot put down on his own. Every time he lashes out, he's pushing away the same two things that he's been pushing away his entire life: the weakness he believes will destroy the people he loves, and the betrayal he's sure is coming. The wound was never yours to cause. It was never yours to carry alone. And if you're the man watching this, you did not choose this wound. Your father handed it to you, but you are the only one who can decide whether it goes any further. Now, again, to the woman out there, you may be the first person in his life in a position to show him the rule he's been carrying since childhood is wrong. That a person can be reliable. That a person can discipline her emotions when it matters. That a person can stay in the room and work the problem with him instead of leaving him alone with it the way his father did. And if you're the man watching this, your wife could help you create the safety in your system that your father never gave you. Not rescue you, but help you build it. But she cannot solve the problem for you. Your first move is to stop assuming the worst of intentions before you've even asked her what her intentions are. So here's where you go from here. At the very least, join my free Secure Circle community. Inside, you get monthly masterclasses on attachment fundamentals, monthly skill demos, exclusive weekly content with me and my coaches, and a resource library that keeps growing. The link is in the description below. It's 100% free to join. Now, if you're past that initial stage and you want everything in one place, my 5 flagship courses, my weekly masterclasses across 6 areas of life, weekly skill demos, direct coach access, and a library of past community recordings, the paid community, the Secure Circle Plus, is the second stop. Check out the link below or upgrade through the free community. And if your relationship is in a place where you need to work directly with me and my coaching team now, the coaching application is also in the description below. Fill it out and my team will reach out. Now, like this video if it changed how you see his anger. Drop a comment and tell me which section resonated with you the most. The 4 moves, the sentence, or something else. And subscribe to this channel if you're not already so you don't miss what's coming next. And in the next video that you should watch, it's Forgive Your Father, even if he will never apologize. Now that you understand that wound, that next video is what to do with it. I will link it right here, and I'll see you there.